Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to the Limit Racing. For those of you that joined us yesterday, you'll know that this week we are racing around Portimao, and it is the turn of Division 2 tonight to give us a tour in what looks to be, yet again, a wet circuit on the Algarve then. The top 5 in the championship all racing this evening. 5 points separating first to fifth at the moment after 2 rounds of the first season in TTL. Be interesting to see how quickly the drivers take to the track. But before we get into the action, a warm welcome to my co-commentator this evening, the devilishly delicious, I should say, Revengezilla. To make a hashtag.
It's me, devilishly delicious. I can't even say it.
Devilishly delicious.
Devilishly delicious. Anyway, yep, very happy to be here, and it looks like off the bat it is absolutely soaking.
Yeah, full wets tonight. You were racing, of course, yesterday and actually took the win, so congratulations on that first of all. But you didn't get to use the wet tyre yesterday. It was only intermediates for you, and even in intermediate conditions, how challenging was this track in the wet?
Oh, I'd say it was easy, mate. I was a step ahead of the field, to be honest. And yeah, it was. There's a select few corners on the circuit that are notoriously difficult in the wet, and it's mainly the hairpin corners because the traction at very low speed turning the car is quite difficult at this track with, the quite high wing setup that you would run around here. So it's very difficult to get good exits out of the hairpin corners, but that is coincidentally the area of the track where you can gain the most time, so it'd be interesting to see who can make the most of those traction zones and really gain the time in this quali session.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more with that one. Lots of drivers out on the circuit at the moment then. Just the 7 remaining in the pits so far. Nigel Piggle then is going to be the first driver to hopefully give us a time on the leaderboard. Of course, depending if he manages to keep it valid throughout the rest of the lap. A couple of new faces, I think, tonight. Definitely Mars Bar taking to the track for the first time this season, having returned from his holidays. So he'll be hoping to set a marker in his first race in TTL, and it's good to see Espenio here as well, also making his TTL debut this evening.
Yeah, whilst we highlight the newcomers to the standings, it'd be interesting to have a little run through of where we are after 2 rounds so far. So we've had the opening round in Kota, and then the second round in Canada, and now from round 3 in Portimao. So up in front, it is actually the Alfa Romeo driver who's down in P17, albeit nobody has set a lap. And that's Valente, who was on 30 points after the 2 races and was very, very strong last time out, actually getting pole at Canada. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do today. And then rounding out the top 3 then, it's a double Merc for 2nd and 3rd with Gopher in P2 on 26 and Borley on 25 points. But yeah, as you said, we've got a few newcomers tonight. Also filling in as reserve, we've got Collateral Ads in the Alfa Romeo, who's going to look to secure some of them points that Alfa Romeo are finding a little bit difficult to come by in Tier 1, but in this tier, obviously they've got Valente who's leading the championship, so they're not looking too bad. As we see 2 lap times in so far. I'm not too sure what is a good time on the wet. I know on the Inters you're looking at about 127s, 128. So it'd be difficult to tell early on whether these are good lap times, Biddle.
Yeah, definitely Collateral Ads then crossing the line of 32.4 from him, then perhaps backing up what you were saying in terms of, I think the drivers are just getting a little bit comfortable at the moment with the wet conditions. We should point out, of course, Collateral Ads is Division 1 driver, but he so kindly asked if he could take part tonight, we couldn't refuse. So, for everyone out there moaning, this should be his only appearance in Division 2 this season. As Bawley then sets the fastest time so far, 31.7 from him. I think we'll see the times improve as the drivers go around. You would expect on the wet tyres for the cars to have fueled up for a few laps. I'm trying to eat a punnet of strawberries and direct to camera here, which isn't very wrong. Everyone's invalidated anyway, so no one's out of time at the moment. Jimmy Dog racing this evening, Revengula. I know how fond you are of Jimmy Dog after his debut in Kota.
Yeah.
Didn't race last time out in Canada, but back again and invalidated both laps.
Yeah, definitely got a soft spot for Jimmy Dog after he no-showed the last Grand Prix for apparently falling asleep. But he's back for a bit of Portimao, and he's getting carried at the moment in the constructors by the Viking Beast. So I think he needs a good performance here to really get on the board and push through into the standings. We've got quite a bit going on in the chat at the moment. We've got Diamond checking in to say hello. We've got Billy the Lad saying good luck, lads. Let us know who you're supporting, mate. We'll give him a bit of a shout out. I've got Adrian saying I want to cry. I assume that's him talking about the wet weather. We know how much he likes the wet. And then we've got Silverside Boy in the chat. Hello, mate. He's saying Collateral Ads 94 for the win, the fraud. Well, at the minute he's getting dicked about by a few Div 2s, so I won't hold hopes.
And not looking as strong as you might expect in the wet weather. It's nice to see everyone following along. No football to distract us this evening, well, at least in the real world sense. I don't think this evening. We were following along with the England-Germany game yesterday that
I'd rather choke.
There, but yeah. Everyone can tune in here and watch these 18 cars go around at the moment in the wet. The Lapio Finn, I think, is trying to get into his car. Newly taken the Williams full-time drive, and he's having issues with his internet. Then 10
Has he
minutes
just
left
left
on the clock
again?
for him to get in. I don't know. He might need to try and send
He
him an
did.
invite.
He
He's
did
not-
join back.
He's just put in the chat that his internet's playing up, so
Oh dear.
not ideal.
Yeah.
As Valente then, the championship leader, is going to come across the line. It doesn't look to be the quickest of times though, and indeed 9th out of 10 drivers who have put a time down so far. 33.8 from him as the mighty Jimmy Dog then at the moment. Coming through Sector 2, he was a 10th up in Sector 1.
Oh,
Like he
really
might
struggling
find a
for
bit
traction
more
up
pace
there.
Turn 8, we saw drivers yesterday, I don't know if you noticed in the session, coming down the hill where Jimmy Dog's just gone through there and kind of losing traction there and hitting the wall. I think it happened to a couple of guys yesterday. That's somewhere to look out for really in these wet conditions, or do you think... Because I didn't think it was actually a bad part of the track, but...
Yeah, I definitely had to lift going through there. I remember on my quali laps. It's not an easy part of the track at all, as you've really got to try and take a narrow line to gain the most time. But by taking that narrow line, it's really asking a bit too much of the tyres in terms of grip. Jimmy Dog's going to come around the final corner then. I think he's going to choose to come into the box.
Clearly knew then from his Delta and he wasn't going to improve then, and choosing to take to the box then for perhaps some more fuel in that AlphaTauri. Then of course you'll be cheering him on, fellow AlphaTauri driver in Division 2. Tadas coming through the Sector 2 split then, 3/10 up at the moment. Not enough really to break into the top 10. He needs to find a little bit of pace here through the final sector. Very tentative as, well, what did Adrian say in the chat?
Oh dear.
That's
Oh
gone
dear, oh dear, oh dear.
very bad for Adrian, and I imagine he's crying a whole lot more. Adrian H2O, as he is also known as, struggling then, and he is now out of qualifying, losing at a very strange place then. I think it was the climb up to turn 10. Interesting there that he has put the car in the wall as LW Shulky then takes the fastest time. But quickly back to Adrian, of course. I mean, that's probably a driver there that you'd be thinking might look to challenge for pole today.
Yeah, well, I can give you some inside information now, Biddle. Adrian will not be challenging for pole today.
He won't be challenging for pole anymore.
Exactly.
Definitely not.
Oh, Tidjum's going to drop in, supposedly.
Nice. Okay, the mighty TJM.
It's the return of the Tidjum. He's going to make his debut. He's got just enough time if he gets in to set a quali lap.
Yeah, the missus has gone to bed. TJ's come out to play.
He's out and he means business. One thing I want to point out then, Lewis Yorkie obviously top in the session so far. He had a really, really disappointing race last time out. And he got really unlucky getting caught up in a few incidents after winning the opening Grand Prix. So it'd be interesting to see whether he can bounce back with this one and keep it incident free.
Definitely, as Marsbar then takes the widest line I've ever seen through the final corner without invalidating, and goes into P11 and a 32.2 from the Ferrari man on his debut. And I think if we were able to remove laps as they were being set, I think Marsbar's lap might be getting deleted for track limits there, but unfortunately we do not have the power to do that. And his time stands so far then 32.2 from him. As the Lapio Finn does take his seat then in the Williams.
So we will have a full grid then when the Tidjum gets in it. So Adrian will officially be 20th on the grid. Oh dear.
Well, that's providing the Lapio Finn and Tidjum get out on track and put a time down, hopefully.
Also, I'd just like to point out for the viewers that aren't part of the Discord server, if you do tune in and watch our races, you would have noticed that the standings don't quite replicate what the results were after the last Grand Prix, but there was quite an extensive stewards report, shall we say, that was, I think, 13 pages long. So the final order of the Canada Grand Prix changed quite a bit, and thus resulted in CTX getting his first win. And Belente, I think, coming across the line P5 and getting a second place, so it definitely got shook up a little bit.
I don't know. I commentated on the race. I can't even remember who won it on track.
Borley won it on track, I think. Or no, was it CTX won it on track, but he had 6 seconds of Pens, so dropped to 4th, but then after the race stewards report, Pens actually gave him the win back.
Potentially, I have no.
I don't know either.
Really good attention here from the league.
Yeah, well, Ads has gone P1, so shock.
And so yeah, going P1 then just over a 10th of a second. Go for crossing the line then. We'll look now to do a fast lap to try and drag him out of the bottom 5. The Lapio Finn has indeed made it out on track, or should we call him the Lapio Brit, as he likes to be.
So yeah, so we've actually got the two latecomers, Tidjum and Lapio, have ended up being teammates at Williams. So if Williams have got any chance of any constructors' points here, they are going to have to get a move on.
Yeah, I think we lost contact with John Ruddy Rudmut-Judder that should be in that second Williams.
Yeah, he's no-showed today, unfortunately. So, yeah, he's getting dropped to reserve for Norwich. Not here. Does he still play? Is he retired? Is John Ruddy retired?
I have no idea. No idea. I don't think he is. I don't know. He was at Wolves last time I knew he was playing.
Was he? I knew he was at Norwich for ages. He must have done. He must have had a spell at Baggies at some point. He played everywhere.
Not from my memory. I think he did Ben Foster for about an eternity, so he was never going to get in over good old Fosters.
Right, then on board with the Lapio Finn. He's currently in P20 and he is coming around the second sector now. This uphill right-hander is where it's really difficult to get some purchase. And you just see how slow the revs are, and going up through the gears ever so slowly. Here's the left-hander you spoke about, and he's had to lift off big time to avoid losing the back end. But it all looks pretty tidy from the Williams driver. He's got a bit of traffic up ahead with a few cars here, there, and everywhere off the circuit. He's going to run a little bit wide, but get a good exit, and this is going to lead him up to the penultimate corner now, which is a long downhill off-camber right-hander that makes you want to get on the power really early, but you've got to be careful not to run wide and get on the curbs, because that's going to lose you some precious time as he comes around the final corner. Big lift is needed in the wet. Careful with the back end on the exit. He's going to come across the line with a 33.3, and it's only enough for P17.
He will need to try and get around once again. He has got the time to do it. I think he should get a couple of laps in if he's careful about it, and he'll need to obviously get up to speed in this session, having joined late on. His teammate TJM 1992 now coming through sector 2, trying to avoid doing what Adrian managed earlier on this session, but the back end does look very much all over the place for TJM. Another driver that needs to get accustomed to perhaps not only the track but also the weather then. Left-hander here kissing the apex nicely, a bit late on the power, and then as you mentioned, this off-camber right-hander that just wants to throw the car into the gravel on the outside of the circuit. We're doing very well there to keep it from invalidation. Coming through the final corner, hasn't got the throttle right at all, but has managed to avoid going wide and will cross the line then. Looks like he's going to beat his teammate and does then get into the top 15. 132.5 from TJM to so far put him through to Q2. As Lapio Finn then coming around the final corner.
I was just talking
now.
And was muted. I literally was just talking through the Lapio Finn's lap.
Here he goes across the line.
Oh, he
and
pushes
he
his
just
teammate
picks
to
his
P15.
teammate then. Yeah, into 13th place, 32.4 from him, a 10th up on TJM, who is going to get a chance at another lap. Then he's a 10th up at the moment. He'll need to carry the speed through the lap. However, Jimmy Dog looks like he's going to get another chance to shine as well. I'm Not Good also needs to get another time on the board. I think it's Gopher, the next driver, Belente.
I think Gopher's half a second up.
Yeah, so it's going to be Gopher then, who's going to be the one to try and put TJM into the bottom 5 momentarily anyway.
TJM's invalidated.
Around the final corner. Gopher nearly invalidates 2. TJM will take no further part in qualifying, but can Gopher put himself through to the second part now as he crosses the line and just about 14th from Gopher.
Yeah, the Lapio Finn
from him
is done. So it's Jimmy Dog is also done. So it's going to be down to I'm Not Good and Belente then. Belente, who's currently leading the championship,
in trouble at the moment.
So what is Jimmy Dog doing? Jimmy Dog is in the gravel. He is done. I'm Not Good also looks to be done. He is done. So it is just down to Belente then. The Lapio Finn is going to cross his fingers, toes, eyes, bollocks, everything. He hopes that Belente, he's 1.1 up on his time, Bidley. But 1.1 improvement is still only going to be good enough for 18th. As Yorkie goes fastest then. The first man into the 1 minute 30s.
Belente needs to find some speed in the final sector here, but he seems to have backed off or going very, very carefully there on the traction. Coming around the final corner, and I don't think this is going to be enough from Belente. He is going to
prove you wrong.
However, and set the lap. And it is just enough then. 2/10 sees him into the top 13 and pushes the Lapio Finn down into 60. Both Williams out, having joined the session late. Jimmy Dog, I'm Not Good, and Adrian also the bottom 5 then.
Yeah, Gopher just getting through then by half a tenth. He will take that, I'm sure. He was saying in the Discord how he's been struggling in the practice. but he's managed to get himself through to Q2. Then he is also P2 in the championship, so it looks like our championship leaders are really struggling, and Borley, who's in P3, can really capitalise from having a lot more pace today.
I think that's definitely going to open the door then to some surprises, perhaps looking to try and move themselves up championship table then after round 3. There then is your final classification. It's a very interesting looking LWS Yorkie on what is going on there. Fastest time
Oh dear.
of the session at 1:30. Someone get that man in an ambulance. Jesus Christ. National Lads in P2 then for Alfa Romeo standing in tonight. CTX then rounding off the top 3. It's Borley, Viking Beast, Plixty, Nigel Piggle, Ashy, Tadas and Jollomaster rounding off the top 10. Darth Grey Fox, Espenio, Balente, Marsbar and Gopher all making it through. 11th to 15th. A couple, as you said, the 2 championship leaders in that gaggle of 5 cars. And then it's the Lapio Finn, TJM, Jimmy Dog, I'm Not Good and Adrian, as I've already said, out in Q1. It'll be interesting to see what happens here with the weather going into Q2. And some Bidley trivia for you here, Revengezilla.
Hit me.
I can tell you that John Ruddy now plays for Birmingham City.
How old is he? Is he in his 40s?
He's gone full, sir. He's 35.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's still got a spell at the baggies left in him.
I mean, we've already got Bald Button in goal, so you may as well take a Bald Ruddy. Why not? He has also made 1 England appearance, and bonus points for anyone in the chat that can tell me what team that was against. Not sure that anyone cares who John Ruddy has got an international cap against, but he has got against 1 team. Do it without googling, I'll be very impressed.
Sorry, I'll have
the
the question again, please.
What question? The question was, who did John Ruddy get his international cap against? What team?
It's gotta be someone naff, like fucking Bulgaria. Am I close?
I'll see if anyone puts it in the chat. Let's see.
Oh, I've gone Bulgaria. The Lapio Finn's gone Hungary.
Nope.
A no for both of us.
It's actually
It's the Faroe Islands.
Yeah, a no for both of you, San Marino, and it is Diamond Douchey then in the chat with the winning.
Did you know that, Diamond, or is that a guess?
Italy, and he didn't even start the game. He came on to replace an injured Jack Butland.
I was about to say there's no chance on earth whoever the manager was at the time thought they'd stick John Ruddy into stuff.
Anyone knows who the England manager was in 2012?
Oh, well, is it Capello in 2012?
No.
Sven?
Says his name. Nope. Says his name with a different first letter than what it is. There it is. LWS Yorkie with the Woy Hodgson.
Big Hodge.
Yep. Giving John Ruddy his debut. Anyway, back to the action track then. We have got drivers, who are going to put us a time on the board. Marsbar then just starting his fast lap. Tadas then, interestingly, on the intermediate tyres and chancing it for the Alpine team. So interesting to see if that pays off or not. But Marsbar is on a lap, Revengezilla. Why didn't you follow him round?
Yeah, it'd be good to give Marsbar a little bit of screen time, seeing as he's making his debut tonight in the Ferrari, and he's set a purple Sector 1 Bidley. It's outrageous stuff from the Marsbar. He's late on the brakes down into the hairpin, manages to square the corner off nicely, and then here comes the most technical part of the circuit, where it's all about trying to take a tight line through there to carry the speed up into the uphill right-hander, and Marsbar's made a pretty big mess of it, to be fair. But he's managed to keep the car rolling then through the right-hander. Here's only a small lift, but loses the back end slightly on the exit. Needs to let off again to keep the rear in check. Down the hill now. Oh my lord, the back end stepping out again, and he's going to go to the final couple of corners then. Running wide again at the left-hander. Running wide again at the right-hander. Really struggling for grip now, the Ferrari. We looked at high 1 minute 30s as our fastest time in Q1. And I'll be surprised if this is in the 31s. It's not, it's a 32.3. Next across the line, Collateral Ads is going to do a 31.0, so that's similar to what he did in Q1. So straight back on the pace then for the Alfa Romeo stand-in. It's Plixty with a very impressive lap time, actually. We've not talked a lot about Plixty, really, have we, Biddle?
No, Plixty racing tonight. I don't think I've mentioned him at all, really. I can't ever remember mentioning his name.
No, I don't either, but quite an impressive lap time there as Nigel Piggle goes fastest then, as we've got 3 drivers into the 1 minute 30s. Ashi just missing out on the 1 minute 30s. Look how close it is between the top 6.
Yeah, close times, that's what you want to see. Nigel Piggle probably the surprise really at the head of that group of cars. They go for the 32.5 now as well. And I've just realised why we haven't ever mentioned Plixty's name, because it's his first race as well in TTL this evening.
Well then, Plixty, let's give him a little bit of screen time. I'm not sure if he's on another fast lap here. No, he's not. The man who we talked about on the intermediate tyres on an outlap came straight back in and then out again on the wets. It's Tadas. A couple of drivers invalidating their first run. Viking Beast, who's coincidentally invalidated his second lap as well. Darth Grey Fox is giving it another go. He's in P14 in the McLaren. He invalidated his first lap. But we'll go on board with him now as he looks to set his first one. Collateral Ads has improved to a 1:30.8 then on his second attempt. And that's enough to put him P3. Darth Grey Fox then up the double right-hander. Really nice line through there. Gets on the power nice and early. Straightens the car up to get optimum grip. Small lift through the left. Oh, he's invalidated.
I couldn't even find the driver who was on the power.
Well, then the viewers have just. Well, the stream's mudded. The stream's so mud.
I was trying to quickly. I've got Adrian messaging me for some reason. He's distracting me on commentary. Stop it, Adrian.
Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to find that right move property with 130 pictures, wasn't I? With the stream.
Oh, yeah,
I couldn't find it.
That was from the first round, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
Kota.
It might have been, actually.
Yeah. Well, we should, fingers crossed, be back to the old style streams next week. So we'll be able to get those pictures on screen for all the viewers to judge your potential house that you're going to move to. Flat, I should say. I don't know what it is. As Tadas then invalidates on his first flying run on the wet tyres. Adrian saying he's going to leave the session. Why are you sending me DMs? I'm on comms. God's sake. Just stay in the session, God's sake. You've only got like 20 minutes or so to wait. Anyway. Right. Let's see who's
Right.
Go for Right, let's see what's
We've still
going
got 4
on.
drivers
Go
yet to set a lap.
CTX is going a bit slow. Ball is going slow. Nigel Piggle too then. So nobody really on a time at the moment. It's Belente who's a 10th up through Sector 1. About to come through Sector 2 now. Then we saw him struggling in Q1. He's only 2 tenths up here as well then. So Belente might be able to do it in the dry weather. But he's struggling here in the wet around the Algarve.
If he keeps this up, it could be as high as P8. Which would be enough to get through into Q3 and give himself a chance in the race. He comes around the final corner then, nice and easy on the throttle and the steering input. He's going to run a little bit wide and catch the back end slide. And it's going to be a 1:31.8, and as I said, it's enough for P8. That's not a bad lap from Belente, considering he was only just in the low 1:32s in the previous session, so he's definitely making improvements.
getting some confidence then in the car Valente from lap to lap, but he might need to improve slightly still. He wants to make it through. There is some quick drivers yet to put a time on the board, and Darth Grey Fox now is one of those drivers trying to give it a go as he comes up to turn 8 then. He made it through Q1, misses the apex of turn 8 unfortunately as he goes a little bit long with the braking. Yellow flag out for Spenio, I think, who's backwards on the pit straight. Comes into the pit lane, I think. I don't know, can't tell what his doc's doing, he's all over the place. But Dark Grey Fox is sector 2 then, 101.9 as Nigel Piggle then puts a bit of daylight between himself and P2 then in Borley. That's 4/10 then with a 130 point.
That was a mighty lap time.
Great time from the Haas driver as Darth Grey Fox then is coming around the final corner. Needs to beat a 132.1 to have a sniff at Q3. Crosses the line, and it's nowhere near, unfortunately, a 33.0 for the McLaren on 4-lap old wet tyres. He's going to need to find a bit more pace in the 5.5 minutes remaining to get into the top 10.
Right then, 3 drivers still yet to set a time then, Bidley. I'm a bit upset with the Viking Beast at the minute. He needs to pull his finger out. I'm expecting minimum top 3 for Viking Beast. But amongst him are the drivers that are yet to set a lap and also in trouble. You've got Tadas, Jollo Master, Darth Grey Fox and Marsbart. Tadas is currently on a lap. He's had a couple of attempts but squandered by invalidations. But it looks like it's a pretty good lap so far. He's struggling a little bit coming into the 3rd sector now though. Really trying to keep the back end in check. As he comes round the penultimate corner, then gets on the power nice and early, straightens up the car, runs over the curb, trying to use all of the track. And round the final corner then, what's he going to say? It looks like it's going to be a low 131, and it is, and he puts a Spenio then down into the bottom 5.
Yeah, Spenio's had to come back out after spinning then, and he's on an out lap on a fresh set of wet tyres then. As Viking Beast then comes to the end of sector 1, and we know he's got pace in that AlphaTauri, but he is struggling to get a time down at the moment. Not too long left of this session either. Top 2 remain in the garage. Nigel Piggle and Borley then, they should be through with those times, you'd imagine, unless we all of a sudden have a dry track for some reason. And Viking Beast now then on the climb up to turn 10, and he's put in a pretty solid lap. So far it looks very clean indeed. I've jinxed him. Oh, he just about avoids a validation there. Rides the curb a little bit too much though, especially in the wet. Gets away with it though. He's going to come around this penultimate right-hander now, and he's definitely looking like he is going to get into the top 10 as he comes around now the final corner. And it looks like if he does manage to do a decent job of this, it is going to be enough. As he comes up to the line, he's left it late, crosses the line, and it is a 31-1 then.
What a lap.
Viking Beast into P7 then, pushes Valente back down into the bottom 5.
Only 3 attempts between 2nd and 8th at the minute. And it's all pretty close with the bottom 5 as well. But Valente, if he wants to get through it, is going to need an improvement of at least 0.3 of a second. And considering how good his previous lap was, it's going to be a big ask for our championship leader. And our championship 2nd place man then also in trouble in P12. It's looking better and better for Borley as this qualifying session goes on. We've got a few more drivers leaving the pits then, as they're going to look to set a lap right at the death. I believe it is CTX then, Dark Grey Fox, that have come out. Then Gopher's improved, and he's improved by 0.4. And it's got him up into P9, and that's put Jollo Master down then, who is currently on a lap middle, and he's half a tenth up.
Yeah, John Master doing a decent job at the moment. Espenio's about to cross the line as well. He was a handful of tenths up, but doesn't improve by enough then to get out of P13. So yeah, it was Jolly Master then. 400s up through Sector 1. Doesn't need to find too much time on this lap to break back into the top 10. So we'll watch him through Sector 2 here. I think there's a Ferrari coming round as well to cross the line in Mars Bar. Oh, it's Jolly Master invalidates, so we'll switch then to Mars Bar, who is 8 tenths up then through Sector 2. It puts him really on the cusp of getting into the top 10 here. A minute and 10 seconds left on the clock here. He will get another go should he choose to take it, but will he need to as he crosses the line? And it puts him P7 and a 31-0. As we'll cut them to Espenio
Oh my
now.
god, why do I keep talking when I'm muted? Yeah, I was just talking about Espenio.
Oh, let's not talk about Espenio. Let's go
Yeah,
straight
he
back
did
to,
improve. He improved by 3 tenths and brought him to a 31.8, and he needed another improvement of about half a second, which he was up. I think he might just have time to cool off his tyres a little bit. I'm not sure if he's going to have the ERS to do another quick lap, but he will try nonetheless. Coming around the final sector now is Tadas, who's invalidated. It's going to be a bit of a race to the line for him to see if he can get another lap in.
Yeah, flag out. We can't exactly see how long.
I think it's a matter of seconds. Oh no.
Yeah. No. Make it then to Tadas out then in Q2 will start no higher than 11th. Jolly Master is on a lap, so too is Balente. Espenio, I think he's also on a lap 2. Darth Grey Fox was 6 thousandths down through Sector 1.
He's now only a 10th up.
A 10th up. He needs an almighty final sector. About a second and a half.
He needs to cut the track.
Here. just don't take the final corner.
He needs to straight line it.
Yeah. Got a flag out as well. There's a Ferrari actually on the inside.
Yeah, I'm not really sure
corner.
what he's doing here.
He does stay out the way of everybody. Luckily, Dark Grey Fox then crosses the line. Oh, and it was a sensational final sector from Dark Grey Fox.
But P11 still, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, very good from Dark Grey Fox then.
Valente's up by 4 tenths.
Put him down any further than 31.8 so far for the Alfa Romeo, but crosses the line trying to get into the top 10 and doesn't make it happen then.
Espenio's up by 2 tenths.
Yeah, as we go back then to Espenio, who's coming around the final corner now, the final driver that can have a say on his grid position for the race. Crosses the line and gets up then to P14 and puts, I think it was it Valente?
Yeah, it's Valente back down.
Yeah. So the championship leader then starts 15th for the race. There is your final classification, and for Q2 it's Nigel Pickle top of the timing screens. This time around, Collateralite still inside the top 2. CTX Yorkie Viking Beast, Bully Ashy Mars Bar, Plixty and Gopher that make it through to Q3. Not really surprises on the names there, but a great debut in TTL for Mars Bar and Plixty then, who both get through to the Division 2 Q3 session. And losing out in Q2 then, it is Darth Grey Fox, Tadas, Jollo Master, Espenio and Balente, who will be disappointed to be starting 15th, but we know he's a strong racer and can have a go definitely at making a few positions up. But yeah, Darth Grey Fox, what a final sector, but still Revengezilla missing out on the top 10.
Yeah, really big disappointment for those guys missing out, but this is really a big opportunity then for Borley to really make some inroads in the championship. If he can get a good qualifying position here and subsequently a good result, this could really propel him towards the top of the championship.
Yep, as we cut then to the Twitch chat, of course, between sessions, still raining in Q3, and I've had reliable intel that I think it is a wet race as well, fortunately for all of us that are watching. And no one wants this race to finish early at all, so we can do other things this evening. It's going to be apparently an absolutely torrential race. But Mars Bar in the chat saying, winning this race for my darling Bidley. Well, I very much hope so. That will be a fantastic debut for you, and I'll feel very honoured if you manage to pull that off in my name. Jimmy Dog says he's winning for Viking Beast, I think, or he's just bigging up Viking Beast. Who knows? I'm not good. Says if it was raining in intermediate conditions, which setup would you use, dry or wet? I'll let you answer that, Revenge.
Are we still wet, or are we inters?
No, we're still wet.
Yeah, CTX is hovering over the inters, but I'm not sure anyone's actually going to give it a go. Which is disappointing, really. I'd like to see the conditions change a little bit in this quali session.
Yeah, definitely.
People are saying it's a full wet race.
Yeah, it's exactly what I've just said if you was listening to me, you fraud. Yeah. So we'll see then if any of the drivers can take this wet one lap pace and transfer it over to race pace. But it is then, I think it's Nigel Piggle that is going to be first again in Q3 to give us a time on the board. Most drivers out on track at the moment, barring the Lateral Lance and Mars Bar at the moment then, who are going to leave it later on to put a time on the board. Here comes Nigel Piggle through turn 1, goes very, very, very wide. Somehow doesn't invalidate. I think he lost time rather than gaining there really through the first corner. Now coming up then through turn 4, I think, turn 3 maybe, no idea. Of course, no DRS in the wet conditions. Now then coming down to the heavy braking zone, where you would usually get that DRS assistance, but the Haas then having to make do without. Gets on the apex very nicely there, then coming up then to the tricky 7 and 8, of course. And it has looked like a very clean lap so far, perhaps not the fastest, but it's still pointing in the right direction, which is definitely the main thing at the moment. I wonder how CCX is getting on behind him on those intermediates. That'll be interesting information for the rest of the pack then. As Nigel Piggle then around 10 keeps it on the track very well there. It's a 1:01.3 through sector 2, so a very representative time, but not the quickest we've seen so far. Perhaps the pressure getting slightly to Nigel Piggle after being the fastest car in Q2, but he's taken that corner beautifully there. This looks to be a very fast final sector then from the Haas driver, taking the final corner very well indeed. Crosses the line then, and it is a 1:30.6, and that's
fast.
the target that the rest of them are aiming for. Blixie's been fast as well all session, does well to avoid drifting wide there, crosses the line and goes just short then of that time, a 1:30.7 though, but LWS Yorkie then,
what a lap,
into the 1:30.3s. That's what we saw from Nigel really in Q2. He probably has got that in the locker to bring out in Q3.
It's Bally next
as well.
Championship contender, slowest of the drivers so far then. Mars Bar invalidated his lap. Oh no, he didn't. That was an out lap. So he's starting a lap now.
I think he's into the pits.
Yeah, the inter's not working.
And once again, it hasn't paid off for a driver using the inters. It was Tadas in Q2, and now it's CTX who's fell foul in Q3. Gopher crosses the line at 31.4, joins his teammate then at the back of the times. Ashley now into P5 with a 31.0. Mars Bar, as you said, been out of sync now, only just doing his fast lap. Collateral Lad's still in the pit lane. I don't know if this is something that has been choreographed. Is he planning on starting 10th?
I'm not too sure how many sets of wet tyres you get given, you know. If they're saying it's a full wet race and the qualifying has been all full wets,
it's not ideal.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, do you actually have enough sets? Must do, surely.
Yeah. I think you get 3.
Do you get an extra set for getting into Q3?
No, I think you get 3 sets of wets, but Yeah, they'll have done a lot of laps on these tyres now.
Yeah, it looks like nobody's attempting to do a second lap on the tyres.
As Marsbar then comes around the final corner, he is going to put his time on the board at last. It's not particularly quick though, it's a 31.3 into P7, splitting the two Mercedes then, and find himself in that Mercedes sandwich then on row 4 at the moment.
Ads and CTX both on their outlaps now, and I think this is going to be the only run they get. Because by the time they've finished their outlap, done a hot lap and then an in lap, I don't think there's going to be time to get back round. So this is going to be crucial for these two to see where they'll end up in this qualifying session.
Indeed, Collateral Lads coming around the final corner then, as you said, to start that flying lap. Gopher hasn't improved on his second run. Marsbar looks to be pushing. He was a 10th off through sector 1. Hasn't particularly hooked it up through turn 8 either, so doesn't perhaps look like he's going to improve on his lap either. And coming around turn 10 now, we'll get the next guidance on his lap time, and indeed it isn't particularly quick. 7/10 off the pace then, so it's Collateral Lads then, Revengezilla. And we have seen some pace from the Alfa Romeo driver this evening in the opening 2 parts of qualifying, but he's fell short at the hurdle of getting the fastest time so far. Do you think he can pull it out the bag here?
Yeah, it's going to take a really big effort considering he's going to be on to CTX then.
Yeah, he's dawdling around on another.
Yeah, well,
at the moment.
Ads is invalidated. And this is the trouble. He's only got the time for one run. I mean, an invalidation like that is really going to hamper his qualifying session. LWS Yorkie switching to the Inters then. Does he know something that nobody else does? CTX have a really lovely sector 1 so far. He's absolutely hit the nail on the head with his turning points, kissing the apex lovely at turn 1. And he's going to try and open the steering up the uphill left-hander then. He's going to set a 25.3 sector 1, which I believe is quite fast. And we'll see how he gets on now through sector 2. Yep, sector 1 pace, I've just checked, is on pace with Lewis Yorkie. So interesting to see then what CTX can do through the middle sector. Lewis Yorkie not choosing to come out on track then on the intermediate, so I expect he will probably shift over to the wets and come out as everyone else has chosen the wet tyres. CTX then coming around the final sector now. He goes purple in sector 2 with a 101. What can he do now in the last 3 corners? These are crucial for lap time, especially this downhill right-hander. Get a good exit here and you can really be on for a solid lap time, and it looks perfect for CTX. He's going to ride the curves and really open up the circuit. Lets off nicely then round the right-hander, keeps it in check, and what's it going to be? This looks like an excellent lap time. Oh, and it's only enough for P2.
Yeah, he was up on Nigel Piggle's time after sector 2. And he ended up losing out slightly to the Haas driver through sector 3, but does just beat him then at the moment into P2 for CTX. And who's coming across the line now then to give us another time to talk about? Is it Nigel Piggle on a lap? No, he's invalidated his effort that was 2/10 quicker.
All so half a second up.
Yeah, Bawley half a second up then, just ahead of him on the road. Collateral Lads then looking to put his first time on the board. We've got no delta to compare his time to, of course. This will be his first lap of the session. Crosses the line, and it's enough then for a provisional pole. A 1:30.1. That's what the other drivers have to beat now then, with 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Bawley, as you said, was half a second up and ends up 6/10 up on his lap to go into P3. And I think it is Plixty next then, who's going to look to come across the line. Round the final corner now. Couple of minutes to go the session. These drivers have got the chance of another lap if they cool their tyres down, so Plixie hasn't improved this time but might look to improve again. LWS Yorkie looks like he's on a flying lap but has backed off through sector 3 then. His sector 2 time is very good though.
Ooh, Ashy is up by 6.5 tenths then into the last sector biddle.
Yeah, Ashy as we follow him now. Then he's got Gopher ahead of him. I don't think it's causing him any issues. Who's down on his time at the moment. So Ashley then looking to break into the top 3 if possible. We know he has got pace if he hooks it up right. And that Ferrari then getting the first couple of sectors completely right, crossing the line. How's the final sector? Crosses the line. It's a 30.4 from him and is into the top 3 then just behind LWS Yorkie then. Nigel Piggle though is 6/10 up. Is this going to be enough for provisional pole? Then the Haas crosses the line. And what a lap, a 29.8. First driver into the 129s. And it's provisional pole then for Nigel Piggle.
Yorkie's currently a 10th and a half up then after sector 1. What can he set in the sector 2 split? He's 2.5 temps up. It's going to be close here. Can he get near Nigel Piggle's time? Yorkie using every little bit of the road then. And it looks nice and tidy through sector 2. And this is the corner we talk about. This is the corner where it all matters. And he gets nice and close to the apex and gets on the power nice and early then. Where is this going to leave Lewis Yorkie?
Well, he's took an interesting line there through the
he's going to run wide.
Corner. And then even more interesting. Will that invalidate the next lap as well? It has.
It was enough for P2.
Yeah, and I think he's upset with himself there, giving us a good weave. CTEX invalidated to Plixty into the pits. Viking Beast not improving. Marsbar starting his final run now. Gopher's down on his time too. Collateral Lads will start no higher than second then. So, yeah.
It looks like it's enough then.
Yeah, that might be enough then for Nigel Piggle to take pole position. I don't think anyone's improving. No, that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm safe to say that is the top 10.
That is it.
Yeah.
Is Marsbar definitely not on a lap?
Yeah, he pulled out.
He's mudded, is he? Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he let Viking Beast through, so he'll start 9th then in his first TTL race. But a very good lap from Nigel Pigg.
Yeah, what a qualifying.
Like Lateral Lads have done enough. Perhaps not the shootout we wanted though at the end there. We didn't quite get the most interesting of final runs, but nonetheless, Nigel Piggle giving us something to shout about as the buzzing bees are back in the Revengezilla house.
Oh no. Are they really?
They were from momentarily. It's gone again
right.
now though. You might be okay.
You don't fill me with confidence.
Well, you never know. Comes and goes, doesn't it?
Hopefully not. Anyway then, let us know in the chat if you think there were any surprises there. As we wait for the final few drivers then to make their way back to the box. The Ferrari pit crew has taken their sweet time with Marsbar.
Yeah. Come on, Marsbar. For God's sake, we've got things to do here.
Yeah, we want to get on clubs.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Nigel Piggle, Collateral Lads, Lewis Yorkie is your provisional podium places then going into the race. It'd be interesting to see whether it is going to be a full wet race, because I was kind of looking forward to some overtaking.
Yeah, overtaking was a bit rough yesterday in the dry, let alone in the race. And as you mentioned, Nigel Piggle, Collateral Lads, Yorkie, top 3, Ashy, Viking Beast, Bully, CTX, Plixty, Marsbar, and go for them round off the top 10. Both Mercedes making it through, both Ferraris, both Aston Martins as well. Then so good job those drivers on getting through to the final part of qualifying. And yeah, if what you say is true, and we have got a full wet race, well, yeah, the racing yesterday was close, but it's just a difficult track to overtake. I asked TJ yesterday, I said, bar turn 1 really, where you've got the DRS obviously into it. Where else really is there to throw an overtaking move on this track?
I mean, there's plenty of places you can try and move, whether they're going to come off. Oh, it's dry.
Oh.
Oh, thank the fucking
Been
Lord.
fed
Thank
false
the
intel.
Lord.
It is dry. And do you know what else is dry? My mouth.
I can imagine it probably is. If you could get me one, that'd be class. Well then, whilst Bidley is off getting a drink then, somebody has readied up. Wonder who it was. So then, surprisingly, we have got a dry race, and we have a big mixture of tyre choices then.
God's sake!
Yeah.
Right. Who was it?
So...
Who was it? I'm gonna bite your balls off with my teeth.
I think it was Jollo Master. Jimmy Dog and Adrian have hit each other already. I can't imagine that's going to go down very well in the Discord.
How is it? Yeah, so it's not wet racing.
But I've noticed we've got a... I don't know if there will be... I mean, look at the difference in tyre strategy we've got here. We've got Ads and Yorkie choosing the hards. We've got Piggle on the mediums. We've got a few on the softs.
Yep. Let's keep it serious for a minute. Yeah, bring up the tyre selections on screen. Then yeah, CTX, Jollo Master, both on the soft tyres. You imagine those will burn up pretty quickly. And, well, I imagine if the forecast is as inaccurate as it has been, it's difficult for the drivers to predict if we are going to get any rain at all. Now we thought this was going to be a fully wet race, but it's bone dry, and there's not a cloud in the sky at the minute.
I mean, hopefully it stays that way. I don't really want to see any wet running.
Yeah, of course, interesting to see what the drivers at the back do. TJM, we know, is a very good racer as well. He starts 17th with his teammate alongside him, so the two Williams will be looking to definitely come through the field if possible. They've split their strategy then, medium and hard, respectfully. And it's Nigel Piggle bringing them around the penultimate corner. Interestingly, Collateral Ads and LWS Yorkie then, the only two out of the top 8 then to go with the hard tyres. Go long into the race and try and profit from potential safety cars or reverse strategies then, but expect the likes of Ashy, Viking Beast and Bawley then to be all over Collateral Ads and LWS Yorkie at the start of the race. There is your disqualified Jimmy Dog and Adrian, who are
shit on the Jimmy Dog.
Grid box.
I'm going on board with Tidgham for this race start.
Yeah, why not? Why not? We'll see what can happen at the back. Expect carnage. I think we had a pretty clean race start yesterday, though. So
Viking Beast has missed his grid slot. Darth Grey Fox has missed his grid slot. Tadas has missed his grid slot. Tidgham is angling very far to the right. I don't know if you could go on board with it quickly.
No, the Williams is out for blood, really, and now his teammate has invalidated. He's going to be swarmed down into turn 1 potentially, but we are going to get then 5 red lights for this Division 2 round 3 race around Portimao, and it's lights out and away they go then, and Nigel Piggle gets off to a fairly decent start then. We expected him to on those medium tyres, but it's going all off behind him then. CTX and Ashy both getting ahead of Lewis Yorkie as expected.
Oh, it's mayhem. It's mayhem.
And there is carnage at the back. Lewis Yorkie's been involved in all of that. There is a virtual safety car then out on track.
Yeah, Adrian's
no
lost
idea what
some
happened
wing.
unless you know.
Adrian's
what
lost
happened
some
there?
wing. Yorkie looks like he's still got his wing, but would have been spun. Just looking across the field then to see if I can see any damage. Yeah, it's looking like the only driver I can see with some missing wing at the minute is Adrian, unfortunately. He doesn't get any luck. But Tidjum, he's up to 11th, Bidley.
Yeah, we expected him to have a decent start. We know, as we said, he's got race pace and on the tail end of the points already then. But a big shame to Plixty then, who's out not even at turn 1. The Aston Martin driver showing a lot of pace then in qualifying, as I think there's handbags under the virtual safety car between
CTX had a go.
The safety car is now in, and CTX with a great run then on Collateral Lads. You'd expect him to get past in no time, considering the tyre difference, and well, CTX taking a very interesting line round that final corner. Has got the drag.
It's going to end in tears.
Collateral Lads, who, well, isn't going to give him too much space, and CTX doing a fine job not throwing it at the Alfa Romeo driver at the moment. Yellow flag out.
Yeah, they've had an accident in the final corner, so I'm not good and Jimmy Dog.
Jimmy Dog.
Oh, championship rival then, Borley in the box. It's not ideal. CTX then gets the move stuck on Collateral Lads, who also had a moment on the exit, and that's let Ashy through. And Ashy is right on the back of his good friend CTX, who's going to look to close down Nigel Piggle, who's got a gap of 1.3 then out in front. Marsbar in 5th is going to try and bridge that gap, but he's got a big task to do on those hard tyres.
Saying he wasn't looking forward to Portimao. Well, he's put everyone to shame at the moment with his performance in qualifying, and now in the race it looks like he's got the edge at the moment on the rest of the field. But he is only going to lead us now on to lap 3. Then DRS, of course, will be activated on this lap, and we'll see if that helps any of the drivers with overtaking down those 2 straights. There's Ashley then getting close now to the back of CTX or P2. Jollomaster as well at the back of Gopher then. This is
going to have a look
now. Jollomaster then going round the outside of Gopher and does then get the move done. Very clean driving between the two of them. Gopher, I think, just conceded the place there.
Yeah, smart there from Gopher. He realises that Jollomaster on those soft tyres is going to be quicker initially, and it's going to be beneficial now for Gopher just to sit in that DRS, and hopefully Jollomaster can bring him onto the back of Marsbar, who is catching the front 4.
Yeah, Marsbar then 2.5 seconds back from Collateral Lads at the moment, but has done a
fine
job on his hard tyres at the moment. Nigel Piggle then.
Oh, that's an awful rejoin.
And that's a retirement then, and a safety car indeed then. I think it was Marsbar.
Marsbar's lost his whole front wing.
Yeah, Nigel Piggle with a...
it's a horrendous rejoin.
And well, Marsbar's hard work here going to be completely undone. Nigel Piggle, who looked by far the fastest driver in the field this evening, then retiring on lap 3 with what can only be described as a very questionable rejoin to track there.
Yeah, not too impressed with that one. CTX has sped into the pits then. He was getting rid of the soft tyres. Jollomaster, interestingly, on his softs is going to stay out. And Ashy inherits the race lead. Gopher, who's second in the championship, is up from he's up 9 places. TJM up 11 places. Gopher and Tadas both respectively up 7. So a lot of drivers making some really big gains in the early laps, and TJM on the hard tyres is really going to be looking good towards the end of this race then.
Yeah, he's kept his nose clean so far, as you mentioned, along with Gopher, Jollomaster and Tadas, and those drivers making up a lot of ground to be running 3rd to 6th then on the road at the moment. I'm Not Good has left the session. If we can tap on a few of those buttons and get an invite to him to get back into this race, running 14th At the moment, this is definitely what the likes of Jimmy Dog and Adrian would have wanted then, who were running 20 seconds back from the rest of the field after their opening escapades, but they're now going to be right on the back of the Crocodile when it bunches up behind the safety car then. And what a shame for Mars Bar. You'd have to say he had a fantastic start, really. Was into the top 5, running really well on his hard tyres, and yeah, just unfortunate for him with Nigel Piggle's questionable rejoin to track, you would say.
Yeah. Fortunately, for Mars Bar, I know it's trying to find a positive out of a heap of negatives, but at least the safety car is out. He's got a new front wing. He's on the fresh mediums, and he's only 13th. It could be a hell of a lot worse, but desperately, desperately unlucky for the Ferrari driver, and he's going to look to make his way back through the field then. Another driver who's really benefited from the safety car, who we haven't really touched on, is Yorkie, who got caught up in the turn 1, lap 1 incident. He's up in P9 then, on the hard tyres, and he's going to look to stretch this stint and probably make some inroads on the top guys as he does it.
Yep, he'll be grateful for that safety car, definitely, and the Lapio Finn 2 making up places off the start behind him, then rounding off the top 10 at the moment. The pack nearly bunched together. There is a rogue Alpha Tauri running around at the moment down the pit track. I think, is that the mighty Jimmy Dog?
You'd be right in thinking that.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Jimmy Dog, we do love our Jimmy Dog.
He's definitely got a soft spot in my heart.
Yep, it's definitely. As he looks like, and he will get onto the back of the train if it comes into the pits on this lap, the safety car, so he'll be back in contention for some points today if possible. Safety car is staying out at the moment. Might be a late call here though. Known to do that around here. I think some of those hard runners that went onto those tyres and at the pit stops might be hoping that the safety car stays out again. I can't imagine they'll get them to the end from here. What is it like for tyre wear around here eventually in terms of a strategy then? What can these guys do from this position?
Yeah, the degradation around here is actually really, really low. I mean, it's going to be a one-stop race regardless of, I think, safety cars. And unless there's one really late and people dive in for the softs, I think it's going to be a one-stop race. Also, the hards are a really, really good race tyre. They can easily do 20 to 25 laps, which leaves another smaller stint for the faster compound tyres. So I'd like to think the people who are currently on the hard tyres have definitely got the advantage. But the people who are not on the hard tyres will have the advantage of the undercut when the time comes. It'd be interesting to see how long Jolly Master looks to stay out for. I don't think the softs are fast for any longer than 8 laps or so. So it'll definitely be a case of praying for another safety car for him, but he will get the benefit of the undercut when he does come in.
Yeah, I imagine he'll try now with this safety car to extend these soft tyres to just put on the hards till the end now. We saw that yesterday from Groundsy, who made it work to mop up a P4 in the race in Division 1, so hopefully looking to emulate that today. Jollo Master, who's done well so far. I imagine the safety car will be in the pits on this lap then. It is Ashley who will lead us away, with Collateral Lad shortly behind him. Goford, as you mentioned, then he's doing some great drives so far. Goford, do you think he's really in with a chance for a podium here?
He always seems to be in and around the podium places come the end of the race. He always goes under the radar, so it'd be interesting to see whether he can directly put up a fight for a win. He's a driver that very, very rarely gets any corner cutting penalties, so is always benefiting from free positions like that come the end of the race. But having been up in P3 and having gained so many positions from his grid slot already, it'd be interesting to see on these medium tyres whether he can have a go at Collateral Ads on this restart. who's definitely going to be struggling for tyre warm-up, and Ashley's gone.
Yeah, Ashley then looking to try and catch Collateral Lad's napping, but I'm not too sure he's managed to do that. Then the Alfa Romeo then trying to get a bit of a tow from the Ferrari down into turn 1. Both drivers using a lot of that ERS to attack and defend. Then no changes in position up front. LWS Yorkie then up to P8 now ahead of Valente. CTX2 making up a position on a spin here, but not too much action there on that safety car restart. But Jolo Master then trying to put those soft tyres to use now. Gets very out of shape, and I wonder if that's going to let Tadas have a run in there. Down into turn 5, around the outside here, the Alpine. Can he get the traction off the corner? It looks like his medium tyres perhaps faring a little bit better than those softs now. Up the inside for 7, and does then look to get the move done around 8. They're still side by side here. They've been side by side for 3 or 4 corners, and they're going to come up the hill to 10, and now Tadas does finally get the move done for 4th place.
TJM then getting the move done on Viking Beast. Viking Beast had to lift off the throttle then to avoid collision with TJM, and he's up into P6, and then he's going to look to get onto the back of Jolo Master, who is still hounding Tadas to try and get a move done before these soft tyres go off.
Jolo Master then on the back of Tadas, both drivers who have just had an almighty battle on lap 8 then. As we now go round, Jolo Master can't get close to the back of Tadas though, but one driver that can get past another is LWS Yorkie then, making up a lot of ground now ahead of Viking Beast, and now will have his sights set on the Williams ahead of him in TJM.
Yeah, DRS not going to be active then this lap, but will be active for the next lap. So we will more than likely have to wait and see if any more overtakes will happen. CTX then gets up the inside on Valente. Valente's going to let him through, but go for the switchback round the outside. Valente gets a much better exit than CTX, and he regains that position, but albeit has lost a lot of ground to the cars in front.
Less than ideal from Valente there, who is 1.8 seconds back now off Viking Beast. They're all relatively close then from P3 down. The top 2 peeling away then from Gopher at the moment in 3rd place. LWS Yorkie then all over the back of TJM here. I wonder if he's going to try and get a run down into turn 1. Our resident Mazepin and Latifi at the back. I'm not good, and Jimmy Dog having a bit of a ding-dong for 17th place at the moment. Jimmy Dog getting himself a corner cutting penalty. And here we go then on the run down to turn 1 now. Not too much action going on at the front of the field, but Yorkie looking to have a sniff at TJ, but not close enough, as CTX then right on the diffuser of Valente here. Valente gets a poor exit coming into 2, and now as they're going to come up the hill for 4, it's CTX who's trying to get past the Alfa Romeo, and he touches the back of him there, and Valente avoids a spin, but CTX really impatient to get past here and goes around the outside of Valente. Needs to get this move done to keep up with the top 8. And has he got it done? Not quite. He edges ahead of the Alfa Romeo and finally then gets the move done.
Yeah, great move there from CTX. A little bit sketchy on the uphill left-hander, but what it's meant is that there's a big gap to the cars in front, and the cars in front, we've got a 3-way battle then between Viking Beast, who's just got a corner-cutting penalty, Yorkie and TJM, as we see Adrian and Milesborough, I think, have come together, and it's another safety car.
I can't play.
Well then, who's in the box? Jolo Master definitely making the right decision then to get off them softs. I will head over to the Discord to see what has happened, but I've got quite a few clips of some interesting driving. On the safety car restart, we had Darth Grey Fox have an outrageous dive on about 5 cars into turn number 3 and caused an almighty collision. That was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We do need to wrap this up by 10.
Alright, put the flag out now, put the flag out now.
Let's wrap this up, people. Come on, get a move on. Adrian, disappointed at the standards. He's saying, well, I think some people might disagree with your standards, Adrian. You know,
Common denominator, as they say.
Coincidence. Mars bar in the pit stand for soft tyres, interestingly enough.
It's looking already like the tier 2 report might be a bit chunky.
Yep, Division 2, they're not quite giving us the clean racing that Division 1 gave us yesterday, but nonetheless, the safety car ensuring all drivers remaining close together on track then to at least give us some wheel-to-wheel racing throughout the field then. As Marsbar in P18 at the moment needs to get a hurry up to get the safety car in by the end of the next lap. They want to preserve those soft tyres now. He chose to go onto the soft tyres. Surely you'd think he'd perhaps look for something else. Jolly Master's apparently hit Adrian somewhere.
God.
On the safety car. That's not ideal for Jolly Master.
Shambolic, isn't it?
Who was doing well. He's into the pits now looking to serve that 5-second penalty. It's not a bad move from the Red Bull driver. Get rid of that 5 seconds. Put yourself onto a set. Oh, it's a new front wing as well, actually. Might not see the safety car in then. This lap, thanks to the Jollo Master.
Billy, what's your favourite animal?
Do you know, it is, it's actually a mallard. Not a duck, a mallard.
Really?
Yeah.
What type of mallard?
Just a mallard, mate. You know, one of the was it?
Yeah, they're like bird slash
Duck-head
pheasant
ones.
things, aren't they? Am I thinking of the right thing?
They're
They got
the
like a
ducks
beak.
with green heads.
Yeah, they got a beak, haven't they?
They're not a pheasant. They're just a duck.
Hold on, let me get Google that.
Yeah. I used to follow an account on Twitter actually called.
Oh, it's
Duck
literally just a
Today.
duck with a green head.
Yeah, it's a duck with a green head. It's like the stereotypical duck, like when you're into feed ducks as a child. Like that would be. That'd be the one. I just think it's weird how they walk around on two feet. Yeah, you never see a duck go arse over tip. Never seen a duck like lying on its head, even though it's only got 2 feet. So, I just think it's impressive.
Is a safety car in this lap? Oh, it's a late call. It's an unbelievably late call. So we've got an Ashy safety car restart once again then. He slammed the brakes on. And we are going to see who's going to make the most of this restart then. When is he going to choose to go? He needs to wait for the safety car to get into the pit lane. Ads has pulled very much alongside. And Ashy's gone then. Oh, Ads is very close. Oh, it's almost cheesy how close he is.
Adds look like he's timed this safety car restart perfectly. I think there's contact at the back between Jimmy Dog and Jolly Master, who's back in the pits, and Ads runs wide. Doesn't get the move done on Ashy, surprisingly. As we see Jolly Master then have enough after having contact with Jimmy Dog on the safety car restart. Unfortunately, as Adrian's in the gravel as well with no front wing.
Oh, Adrian.
Red Bull doing well.
Is it looking a little bit darker to you, Bidley?
I don't want to say yes.
Well, the answer is yes.
I don't want to say it.
It's kind of a rhetorical question. If the answer is yes, it's looking darker.
Yeah, I don't want to say yeah, but yeah, it is. It is, as we are then a third of the way through this race. Ashy still leads at the moment on lap 12.
Or
And I wonder
CTX
then.
with Viking Beast just behind him. He's had a big old loss of the back end then. Has lost a little bit of time to the Aston Martin in front. And it's nose to tail from first all the way down to 14th.
Yeah, no one really getting the gap after the safety car restart. No DRS on this lap either. It will be activated next time round of course, so expect to see a bit of overtaking then. So there is action going on behind between Aspenio and the Lapio Finn then, who is back out of the points into P11, the beloved Lapio Finn. And I suppose
Big
the
up
real
the
question is
Lapio.
now, Avenger, that we've had a couple of safety cars. What are the odds here of
Of
these
us finishing at 10
medium-tyre
o'clock,
runners?
minimal.
Well, that's minimal. But these medium-tyre runners, what's the odds of them getting it to some potential spell of rain, if that's what we think is going to happen now with the clouds covering the circuit?
Well, as we see an incident in the background then between Darth Grey Fox and Mars Bar, who both seem to be pretty incident prone.
We love Mars Bar.
They both get back on the circuit and continue on with their race. But in answer to your question, I mean, there must be a reason they chose the mediums. The game must have told them that there was potentially rain from halfway through the race, otherwise you'd have been silly not to pick the hards. So maybe the rain is going to come sooner than we think, but this is about the lap. Yeah, I mean, I think the pit window for me yesterday was lap 15. So in the next couple of laps, we're going to expect to see, the normal pit window open as Yorkie and TGM are side by side, and how they don't make contact there into turn 2, I'll never know. Great racing from the pair, and Yorkie seems to be getting a little bit frustrated behind TJ. And he's going to look to use a bit more of his non-existent battery. And as we say that, the rain starts Bidley.
Yeah, the rain then spitting.
Oh, CTX having a go on Yorkie.
The circuit. Let's have a look to see what's going on with CTX then. He's got 3 lap newer hard tyres. And you imagine that they'll all hang it out there now until the wet conditions. Unfortunately, I have some sad news to report. There is a funeral in TTL. Jollo Master is no more.
Oh dear.
Really
The Hungarians did not last long.
Really upset with something, him and forward 0811. Not lasting very long at all then. So, yeah, we'll see somebody else in that Red Bull seat next Tuesday then. But here comes CTX now, who is tailing LWS Yorkie, who's got a good run here on TJM 1992. And got that DRS assistance, of course. Pulls to the left-hand side, looks to try and sweep around the outside of the Williams. Cuts the door off ever so slightly, but enough room left there for TJM to slither into and get back down to P6 now. Well, it has been a great race from TJM so far, and perhaps we'll see some interesting instance in the wet conditions as Mars Bar then, the first driver onto the intermediate tyres. This looks very early, Revengezilla.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the rain is falling too quickly, as Viking Beast is going to look to make a move on CTX, then CTX is going to try and hang it up the inside. Viking Beast around the outside. What a move from the AlphaTauri driver, and he's going to get the exit. What a move that was on 14 lap old medium tyres, and he's going to look to set his sights then on TJM.
Yeah, we do love a bit of the old Viking Beast.
Yeah, he's a cult hero. As I'm Not Good in the background has another spin. Collateral adds in, still finding it pretty difficult to get past Ashy. The DRS has been disabled then, so are we going to see them in this lap? Maybe it wasn't too early for Mars Bar.
Yeah, I mean, that is usually the big tell, of course, when the DRS is disabled. And yeah, most of them coming in. LWS Yorkie continuing on to avoid the double stack. With Tadas, who gets a 5-second penalty then for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh, and it's a double. Yeah, is it double stack at Alpine? Oh, Yorkie stayed out to avoid the double stack. Oh no. That's what I was saying. Surely he's going to lose load. He had the priority. He was first on track, was he not? Oh no, he wasn't. No, he was behind Tadas. Yeah, I remember.
Mars Bar looks like he has lost pace. Coming in just that one lap earlier, he's right off the back of the field now. Unfortunately for him, and struggling with that as well. He could do the safety car sometime soon. Adrian carries on round on a set of the soft tyres.
I tell you what has happened, Bidley. Collateral Ads has jumped Ashy in the pits.
Yeah, so Collateral Ads then and the Alfa Romeo boys getting ahead of Ashy. I wonder if Ashy was held for some reason there. in the pit lane, but Collateral Lads now in the net lead of this race then. And as you mentioned, Angela, LWS Yorkie's going to lose so much time here, surely, as Jimmy Dog then very carefully gets out the way of Collateral Lads on the intermediate tyres. He's not having a fun time on the set of slicks now.
He's going to hold up Ashley though. He does manage to get past. Oh, Jimmy Dog's round. No, he's not. He saved it.
LWS Yorkie now finally into the pit lane, then along with Bawley then, who you mentioned was in the top 5 and in the hunt for the lead of this championship after this race. Looks like he's definitely been put out of sorts there as Gopher loses it then. He's round and he's hit the pit wall
the
for
front
good
wing's
measure.
off.
No front wing for the Mercedes, who was having a fairly decent race, it should be said, then second in the championship, I think he said.
Lapio, Finn and CTX then side by side down the back straight, and they very nearly came together with Gopher as Adrian has had enough by the looks of it.
I'm halfway through this race now.
She's got a pen.
Actually picking up a corner cutting pen there as well then, but he's still on the tail of Collateral Lads then, so 1.1 seconds the gap now. TJM's in the top 4 here, Zilla. He's done a fantastic job to get there from 17th, but he has now got LWS Yorkie and Viking Beast on the rear of his Williams.
Yep, he's right on the back of the Williams, as you say, and it's going to be very difficult for him to make the overtake here. But looking at the ERS, it's pretty similar between the pair, and it might come down to one driver making a mistake, and it looks like Yorkie might be forcing TJ into that mistake now. He's going to look to hang it around the outside.
Yeah, it looks like TJ
Viking Beast is licking his lips.
Through the corner, Viking Beast wants to pick up the scraps here, but TJM just seems to have no speed at the moment in that Williams, and Yorkie trying to do all he can to get ahead. Both drivers draining that battery as we come down to turn 1, and it is still TJM in the lead at the moment, ahead of Yorkie and Viking Beast, who can't seem to tag quite onto the fight ahead of him. And while all this is going on then, Gopher's managed to get back into the pits for a new front wing, and now Espenio's looking to get involved in this fight for P4.
Yeah, oh no, please no safety car. Please no safety car. Please no safety car.
Well, he's a long way off track.
So yes, but the game does not
okay.
use that logic. But out in front, Ashley's got the gap down from 1.6 down to 0.7.
Well, I was going to mention the fact that in wet qualifying, we didn't see really Collateral Lads, probably confidently, consistently fast in that Alfa Romeo. I'm just wondering whether Ashley has got the measure here on Collateral Lads in the wet, and whether we are going to see then the Ferrari potentially get past sometime soon, and perhaps get that 3-second gap back.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who gets a few more penalties. There's still just under half of this race remaining. And it looks like, if you look at the battle for P4 here, Billy, look at who's got the battery. We've got TJ and Yorkie really struggling, but Viking Beast is sitting pretty on 76%. And surely he's just going to wait for these guys to have a battle before he makes his move.
Yeah, it definitely is out in front with Justin. Ashley then touched the rear diffuser of Collateral Lads. I don't think he'll be too happy with that one, and avoiding any sort of spin there, and it has cost Ashley a couple of tenths that collision. And this fight for P4 is still going on, and as you mentioned, Viking Beast with a bit more battery over the two ahead of him at the moment. Whether he can put that to good use is another question, but TJM still holding his own at the moment, and it should be said penalty free at the moment, so he can try and get that gap to Tadas down to under 3 seconds, I think it is. Let's take a quick look. It's 5 seconds actually for Tadas at the moment, so as it stands he would be then on the podium if the race was to finish on this lap, but of course we have still got then for the joy of all of us.
Ashley's hit the back of Collateral Lads again.
It's cost him even more this time, and I wonder if that's cost him some kind of damage.
Doesn't look like it.
Interesting to see if he boxes.
Oh, as Viking
7 tenths
Beast
down the
touches
gap.
the inside back right of Yorkie, as Yorkie was trying to take a wider line and force TJM offline. Now they're both miles off the track. This is a mess, but it looks like up in front, Ashy is just going to tuck in behind again, and Yorkie is not going to get close enough to TJ in the braking zone, but TJ goes wide, and is that going to leave the door open for Yorkie? He's not going to look on this opportunity, but is he going to try and set a move up now for turn number 5?
Here he's managed to keep right to the back of that Williams then, but interestingly not using the battery then, perhaps not feeling like this is then the place to try and get ahead of the Williams, and then feeds back in behind TJM. Now then, 13.5 laps to go now. Lap 20 of 33. It is still Collateral Lads out in front, but he has got Ashy all over the rear of him at the moment, looking to try and get ahead. And it's have to say, Revenger, that based on what we've seen on the past couple of laps, if Ashy did get ahead of Collateral Lads, you would think that he would be able to get that gap up to 3 seconds here.
Yeah, it's just a case of being able to get that move done, and it looks like he's still got a slight ERS advantage, but Ads has got the straight line advantage. He's really, really struggling to get the move done.
Yeah, definitely, and he's a bit further back here as well. Ads runs slightly wider. This is going to invite Ashy with a bit of a run then on the back of the Alfa Romeo, and is this then the trade for the lead on lap 21? It is indeed, and Ashy then for now takes the lead of
What
the
a move.
Portimao Grand Prix from Collateral Lads, at least on track, but he will need to get that gap up to 3 seconds if he wants to keep it come the end of the race.
And meanwhile, Yorkie had a look around the outside of TGM into turn number 1 and did get forced out wide. It's not a move you would normally be able to get done around the outside at turn 1 unless you're already... Oh, he's going to have a look up the inside. Whilst I say that, TJM's going to leave him the space, and TJM's going to get the better exit. And he's going to hold the position once again, and this must be getting incredibly frustrating for Yorkie. He just cannot seem to find a way through, but it's excellent defensive driving then from TJM.
Yeah, what I would say there from about TJ is I thought that he left almost too much room into turn 5. He left a lot
He was generous,
of space
wasn't
on
he?
the inside. Yeah,
He made up
generous.
for the lack of room he left at turn 1 by giving extra room at turn 5. But Yorkie's straight onto the back of him.
The door was very much wide open for Yorkie there, but he couldn't make it count. But now, can he keep close then through the final couple of corners and make the move into turn 1 like we saw in the previous lap from Ashy and Collateral Lads? And looking to take a slightly tighter line than as Bally now gets himself a 3-second time penalty. How crucial will that be for his race at the end? He's up to 6 seconds now, as well as both then TJM and Yorkie get themselves a 3-second time penalty, and Yorkie angry with himself there as he weaves in behind TJM. And yeah, I think both of them just followed each other off the track there.
What I was about to say is that actually this battle for 4th, it was going to be the battle for the podium place, because Tadas has a 5-second penalty and these guys are 4.2 back. So this was actually going to be a battle for P3, but now with that time penalty, it is going to remain the battle for P4 then, as Collateral Lads has dropped back to a second behind Ashy, and Ashy needs to pull another 2 seconds then in the next 11 laps.
Yep, he's got time to do it. Whether he can is another question. We should also say as well, as it stands with those 4 drivers having penalties, I think this would actually promote Espenio as it stands to P4 then, who doesn't have a penalty at the moment. And if Belente can close that gap up as well while keeping it penalty free, he might also be in a chance with P4 here.
Yeah, Espenio's had a fairly up and down race. If he can keep himself penalty free, he won't need to risk too much in terms of overtaking these guys, as you've just said. But it looks like up in front now, that gap's up to 1.2, and Ashy is really starting to push.
Yeah, he's doing what he needs to do here. He needs a couple of tenths per lap at the moment in order to get that 3 seconds, and he needs to take the win today. LWS
Oh,
Yorkie then
Yorkie's
looking
close. He's going to pull out of the
much better on the
slipstream though.
traction. No, just can't get close enough. I mean, we saw this yesterday in the dry, that drivers just couldn't get close enough, and even with TJ going wide there through turn 5, he still managed to stay ahead of Yorkie then.
Yeah, it's really excellent defensive driving from TJM this, albeit it's not the easiest track to overtake in the wet, but he's definitely been put under pressure by Yorkie, who's obviously got a little bit more pace, and it's excellent car placement in the zones where overtaking opportunities are available. And these two battling is really bringing Viking Beast back into this, who's just had to pull out of a move there, and he's cost himself a little bit of time, and it looks like Espenio's starting to struggle as well.
Yeah, Viking Beast up to 6 seconds now in penalties, as Ashi and Ads then both into the pits then on lap
For hard.
7.
Or for wets maybe.
And I'm just wondering,
It's
yeah,
for
is it
wets.
too wet out there? Yeah, it is too wet then for those intermediates. And onto the full wet tyres then
TJM's in.
for the 2 leaders. TJM follows them in. I wonder if he'll gain from this here as Tadas, Yorkie, Viking Beast and CTX then the 4 to stay out, along with the Lapio Finn then.
Yeah, this is going to be really telling then. TJM out of that battle for 4th is the only one to box. Will he be able to get a little bit of an undercut then on the guys at the front? And, well, another thing to add, Biddle, is are the wets going to be fast enough to actually bridge a gap in the next 9 laps? Are there going to be people that risk just staying out on the intermediates?
Yeah, well, that is, of course, a debate, but with 8-lap worn intermediate tyres, I imagine if the rain continues to fall as it is, they would very much struggle then.
Tell you what, this is crucial for Ashi. Sorry to butt in, but it's absolutely crucial for Ashi now, because he's got 2 cars in between him and Collateral Ads. But Collateral Ads has managed to get 2 overtakes done in 2 corners, and that might be enough to keep him in contention then of winning this race.
Yeah, Ashley's gained about a second there through those couple of cars. I think Ads made up a slight bit of time in the pit stop, and now it'll be crucial to see whether Ashley can replicate then that pace on the intermediates in the full wet conditions. Tadas then does come into the pits. It's his teammate following him in there, so it's an Alpine double stack here, Razilla, and that is going to be very crucial in the fight for 4th place.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare here for Lewis Yorkie, who just does not seem to have the luck, and he's waiting. Oh, he's got to wait for Tadas to serve his 5-second stop go. Oh, it's a nightmare. He must be absolutely kicking himself.
TJM cruises past, and so too does Viking Beast. Spenio then
TJM
looks to go through as well. So, yeah, unbelievable there look for Lewis Yorkie. But TJM now looks like he's got himself some breathing space. He's ahead of Tadas, who was behind him. He's ahead of Tadas by some margin as well, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. The undercut must have worked an absolute treat, and Espenio has also, after that 5-second penalty from Tadas, Espenio has managed to jump both Viking Beast and Tadas, and he's up to P6 then, with no penalties.
Yeah, crucially now as well, Collateral Ads then. Looks like he has found a bit of pace in these full wet conditions. Ashley might have had to measure him in on those green tyres, but on the blue tyres, Ashley is falling back into the clutches of Collateral Ads, and now half a second in the last lap. Collateral Ads now a second and a half behind, and now clearing CTX as well then. Some back markers ahead of Ashley.
Yeah. So, just to let you know, Spain beat Portugal 1-0 with an 88th minute winner from Alvaro Morata.
Go on, Morata.
You're welcome for the update. Oh, is CTX going to hold it up the inside here into turn 1? Oh, it's very close and very risky there from Ads to hold his nose in there. And just, well, has wiped the nose, sorry, of CTX, and that could have gone terribly wrong. It was giving Verstappen Ocon at Brazil vibes.
CTX ain't looking like he's going to try and stay out.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that's going to go from him. Just visually, it looks like he's struggling a lot. Viking Beast is manoeuvring his way now past Borley. Gets the move done cleanly indeed, and he's going to set off after Tadas. And TJM now's got a 6-second gap to CTX then to catch in the next 8 laps. But I don't think that's going to be too difficult of a task. But up front, Collateral Ads has really got the pace now on Ashi. Gets the gap down to 1 second. As I'm not good, calls it a day in the pit lane.
Yeah, CTX ain't looking like he's going to gamble and try and stay out on the mean-to-means. You asked whether anyone would try it. It looks like he then is going to be the one to give it a go, but he's lost 6.5 seconds then in the last lap alone on Collateral Ads, so it definitely does not look like he's going to work for him at all. And what this is going to do then is give us now a fight for third place on the podium between TJM Espenio and Tadas. TJM needs to get a gap to Espenio of over 3 seconds. He has got it at the minute, but of course there is still 7 laps to go of this race, so plenty of time then for Espenio to find his way onto the podium in his first race.
Yeah, he has got a lot of work to do. He's got to get within that gap of TJM, and TJM is going to get held up a little bit here now by CTX, who still has decided to stay out. But TJM, though, surely going to get the move done into this hairpin. Gives CTX a little bit of a squeeze down the straight. But he gets the move done. Collateral Ads then. The gap is now 1.3, and I think Ashi has really shown us what pace he's got, and I'm not sure he's going to have enough in the tank. Meanwhile, it's Espenio's turn then to get onto the back of CTX. Espenio just wants to choose a relatively safe place to get past, but he is losing a lot of time then to Tadas. So needs to get past CTX pretty quickly, otherwise he's going to find himself vulnerable and potentially out of the podium fight. Let's go for, as we bigged him up earlier for not getting penalties, gets himself a penalty. Oh, CTX, they're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin. Tadas had a look around the outside, but the move wasn't going to be on. As he finally gets it done, and Tadas gets a 3-second penny run wide. That is a nightmare then. Billy, I think you might be muted, my friend.
No, I am here.
Oh,
I was
right.
just letting you. I was letting you give us some fantastic insight. Tadas frauding himself.
Yeah.
Which now opens the door then for Espenio to try and get himself onto the podium, but he is now over 5 seconds back from TJ, who looks like he's doing a fantastic job here in the wet conditions.
Yeah, it looks like he's really found a little bit of pace, and another driver who's found a little bit of pace is Viking Beast. He's got himself onto the back of Lewis Yorkie now. And in turn, Lewis Yorkie's also closing in the likes of Tadas and Espenio, so we could end up with a little 4-way battle here for P4 on track to round off this race.
Yeah. And it looks like the fight is again, unfortunately, going to come down to the timing screens rather than on track. But unfortunately then, for Ashi, the rain did come down more than what it was to his liking, and he is then now under pressure from Collateral Ads then for the lead on track, not only on penalties here. The Alfa Romeo pretty much ramping up here in the full wet conditions. This fight though for P5 then looks to be interesting now between the two Alpines and Viking Beast. And Viking Beast with the extra penalties to the Alpine, so it might not matter too much where he manages to get, but certainly whether we'll see any team orders from Tadas and LWS Yorkie will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, Collateral Ads then getting as close as ever to Ashi. I don't think he's going to attempt to make a move. He doesn't need to because of the penalties. So it might be a case of him just sticking behind the Ferrari driver. He's going to be desperately unlucky to miss out on this win. via a penalty. But I think this finishing order is far from over. Biddle is, for the likes of TJM, if he gets one more penalty, this could bring Espenio back into the podium fight.
Yeah, definitely. Espenio needs to shake off Tadas behind him now and try and knuckle down for the next 4 laps or so here. As Ashley is about to take us then on to lap 30 of 33 with 4 to run. And TJ needs to get that buffer up slightly just in case he does pick himself up another penalty. As we've got Marsbar into the points in P9. Good recovery drive from him. Belente looks to definitely get ahead of Viking Beast at least. Whether he can get the gap down to Tadas and Yorkie now remains the task with 4 to go. But that's it really in terms of the fights. 4 points. But Collateral Lads might do well here eventually to just think about calming it down and taking the win, on penalties rather than on track.
Yeah, if we know Collateral Lads though, he always likes to get the move done on circuit. He does not like to get beaten on track, even if he's going to take the win on penalties. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did go for the move if it was available. Further back, it looks like Lewis Yorkie is just losing touch then with Espenio. And Espenio's really getting his foot down now as he puts the gap down to 5.3. Needs to gain another 2.3 there if he's got any chance of the podium.
He now needs to find another couple of seconds if he wants to try and get ahead of TJ. Looks to be keeping it disciplined at the moment, and in doing so losing a bit of time to the back then of the front two. 12 seconds nearly that gap now. Viking Beast here ahead now of Tadas on track at least, but it won't be enough on the timing screens at the moment as Ashley then takes us to 3 to go. And a shout out to Jimmy Dog in 15th. He's carrying on then. Carried on round. 12 seconds of pens though.
Yeah, fair play to the AlphaTauri driver, albeit he's not going to bring home any points whatsoever. But it's the taking part that counts here in TTL. Also, fair play to CTX and Borley. They firmed it and they've stayed out on the Inters. It's not done their championship any good with surely a massive shake-up in championship order. And I think it's going to end up with potentially the likes of Lewis Yorkie and Viking Beast going back towards the top. I have no idea. I mean, obviously this is pending Steward's review. I've absolutely no idea how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, it was very close at the top anyway. Between the top 5, only 5 points separated them. So yeah, the likes of Borley missing out today and Gopher as well. But Yorkie will score some points towards that total. Viking Beast gets another 3-second time penalty, which is now definitely going to promote Belente, who looked like he had fallen back actually. He's nearly 9 seconds back now, Belente, so he's struggling in the wet as well here. So that 3 seconds might definitely help him to get an extra point or two as Collateral adds then.
Oh no.
Collateral adds on the penultimate lap here, lap 32 of 33.
No.
Was cruising towards a win. All he had to do was avoid getting any penalties, and I think the light has just flashed in Ashley's eyes, and Collateral adds then 3 seconds now means he needs to get it done on track against Ashley.
Oh, that is heartbreak. And as you said, he's really going to have to push now. Yorkie gets the move done on Espenio, but Espenio is going to win that place back on penalties, so he's not going to be too worried about that. But what a nightmare, an absolute bottle job.
Yeah, Collateral adds then over a second back as well here, so it's not even like he's looking close for an overtake, and actually with plenty of battery to defend should the Alfa Romeo try and have a sniff at the lead of the race. So it does look like the rain has stopped slightly, but that won't particularly help these drivers on the full wet tyres. Collateral lads must be so disappointed then with picking up that penalty here, and it does look like then as Ashley leads us on to the final lap that Collateral lads now is going to have to pray for some kind of miracle to retake the win here today. And Ashley, if he does keep it calm and collected now, looks like he's going to get his first win of the season. Further back then, Yorkie has got the gap up to Espenio up to 1.8 seconds now then, so depending on this final lap for Yorkie here, he's definitely going to have a go at trying to finish in P4. And Valente is nearly fallen over 9 seconds back from Viking Beast here, so looks like he might hold on for P7 as well, despite those 9 seconds of penalties. And it does look like Revenge, the Lapio Finn then is going to mop up a point in P10.
What a hero.
Williams.
Obviously, as we said earlier, this is pending all stewards' reviews and inquiries.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a very clean race. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Clean as a whistle, mate.
As
Clean
Ashley-
as a whistle.
As Ashley then comes around the final corner, it didn't look like he was going to get the win at all, but he has somehow, by some miracle, managed to pick up his first win in TTL, and it is Ashley then who wins the round 3 Division 2 race here at Portimao. Collateral lads has backed off big time here. I don't know if that's in there.
A dirty protest, I think.
I don't.
What is he doing? He's just given TJM second.
Right. I don't.
Fair enough.
Okay, I think we'll. Yeah. Anyway, TJ Yamiya gets second, Collateral lads third, but that might be reversed.
Oh, Balente's binned it on the final corner.
He's going to come across the line and still pick up
He was gonna.
9.
He's just
at
lost
least,
P8.
Yeah. Mars Bar gets P8 then, but it was Espenio then who got P4, and then he did manage to stay within the gap to Lewis Yorkie in the Alpines 5th and 6th. Viking Beast P7, Mars Bar P8, Valente P9, the Lapio Finn P10, and stay tuned for that move there on I don't know if we'll give TJ MP2 on that one. That looked a bit interesting.
I don't know. He crossed the line in second, didn't he? So
Yeah. Wow.
Jimmy Dog gonna come across the line in style then.
Let's see. Why not? I guess. Yeah, we don't like to see that in TTL. But there you go. TGM takes the driver of the day in game. Anyway, and there you have the podium then, and there you have the final classification. Ashley then does take the race win. It's TJM, Collateral Lads, Espenio, Yorkie, Tadas, Viking Beast, Marswell, Valente, Lapio, Finn, like I said, the top 10.
Yeah, now you're reading that
there
quick.
you go. I've been through it once, I'm not going to do it again. The bottom 10 that we didn't get to, Dark Grey Fox started 11th, finished 11th at the end. CTX in P12, staying out the intermediates, didn't quite work out for him or Bally in the end, 12th and 14th. Gotha, who was running well early on in the race, had that incident about midway through and doesn't pick up any points today, despite being in the top 5 of the championship. Last of the finishers was Jimmy Dog then in P15 for AlphaTauri. Fair play to him for finishing the race. And then we have our 5 non-finishers then in I'm Not Good, Adrian, Jollo Master, Nigel Piggle, who we saw have the instant from
Yeah, right. End the stream
race
so we can get
lead,
on clubs. Yeah.
and Plixty in P20. One quick order of business then, Revengilla. As you said, quickly hastened leaving the session.
You, I'm already in the
Who's your
lobby.
co-commentator? Who's your co-commentator's driver of the day?
Oh no, bear with me. I need to look at the results.
Just say TJ, be done with it.
Yeah, TJ driver of the day. Well done, mate. He
TJ
gave
driver of the
it to
day.
me yesterday, so I'll give it to him today.
It's TJ or Espenio, it's your choice.
Yeah, it's TJ. You can have it.
Alright, TJ. Nothing fishy going on there, then you're both voting for each other. That's all we've got time for this week. We're back next week with round 4 around Mexico on Monday, Division 1 at 8 p.m. on Monday, Division 2, 8 p.m. on Tuesday. Fair Play Racing League are racing this week around somewhere.
Austria.
Tomorrow, Austria at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Thursday night, and Friday. And our friends over at the URC are racing on Friday. This will all look great when they have the original stream back next week. The URC are racing on Friday and Saturday somewhere as well. But that's all we've got time for tonight. Until next time,
Goodbye,
take
everyone.
care.